What was the comet one, Kathy? Hale-Bopp comet. Remember that? Was that in the 80s? No, the Branch Davidians were the ones out at Waco. The ones that put on the Adidas, I think it was Adidas sneakers and nice little blue outfits. They were followers of a couple, and as Hale-Bopp comet approached, they believed that if they all committed suicide together, they would wind up on this comet and zoom off into the infinite, or something. I just remember it was just unreal, and they all committed suicide together. But back in the 1950s, as Amanda Marcotte points out, there was a famous study led by 3 psychologists into the inner workings of a UFO cult back in the 50s who truly believed, that space aliens were coming to take them away. Ha ha, ho ho, hee hee, we're coming to take you away from Earth before a catastrophic worldwide flood was going to develop on the Earth. Now, these researchers, they embedded themselves in the cult by pretending to be cult members. They pretended that, oh yeah, they really believe this shit. And once they were embedded, they began describing how the cultists, the members of the cult, repeatedly prophesized the exact date that the aliens were supposed to come and scoop them up. And the cult members were repeatedly disappointed when the prophecy didn't pan out. You know, the leader of the cult kept saying, well, they've been delayed. I don't know what, traffic on the freeway, whatever the fuck it was. And they kept moving it forward. But instead of admitting that there probably weren't any aliens coming to take them away, ha ha, ho ho, the cult members cycled through a series of rationalizations. First, writing off the failures of these aliens to show up as a test of their faith, the cultists' faith. And then eventually settling on the claim that their demonstration of faith had somehow prevented the worldwide catastrophe from even happening, and that the cultists themselves, through their faith, had saved the world. Talk about proving a negative. But they did. But what the cultists absolutely refused to accept is that they had been wrong to believe in the aliens in the first place. That's not going to happen. It's like Christians. As Amanda points out, this classic study, which laid the groundwork for the psychological theory of cognitive dissonance, which has always intrigued the shit out of me. That psychological aberration. I'm fascinated. It goes a long way, the study does, and the resulting psychological theory of cognitive dissonance. It goes a long way in explaining the ever-changing story that Donald Trump and his supporters, what they've offered to explain away the Russian conspiracy to interfere with our election by illegally stealing private emails from Democratic officials. That's what the plan was. The rationalizations that Trump has offered, they have morphed over the past 2 years, but what remains steady is the fierce conviction of his most loyal supporters that they were never wrong to vote for him to begin with, and their refusal to accept that he is a corrupt person, unfit to hold even a dog catcher's office, much less the presidency of the United States. These people, these Trumpists, the Trump cult, they will never they can't accept their own insanity. And the thing that has fascinated me about Trump and his cult followers, where the fuck did this begin? I mean, everybody in New York and New Jersey knew who Trump was, but some dip fuck in Iowa or Michigan, working at some shit factory job all his life, what the fuck does he know from Trump? But for these cultists, phase one of the process was first flatly denying, just deny it, that the Russian conspiracy even happened in the first place. And that's what Trump has been hammering. Fake story. Totally made up by New York Times. Oh, and Hillary Clinton. Even as journalists and American intelligence officials were putting together mountains of evidence that Russian agents had deliberately stolen emails, used them to stoke conspiracy theories, designed successfully to suppress voter turnout, especially for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I lost, hundreds of listeners for that very reason. They bought the bullshit that Hillary Clinton was this evil fucking bitch who was going to have us in war with who? The Russians, the Chinese, the Martians? Within 30 days. Oh, well, and what about the Clinton Foundation? And what about this? And what about that? How easy. And I went for it at the beginning too. Oh no, I'm not just sitting here going, oh well, what the fuck's wrong with you people? I can remember questioning the Clinton Foundation. A big donation from the Saudi royals, and the next thing you know, to the Clinton Foundation, and the next thing you know, something, I forget what occurred, but it looked like a tit for tat. It looked like a cause and effect. It looked like you do this, I'll do that. I don't even know if the large donation from the Saudis was really real. And remember, they were going to investigate the Clinton Foundation. Oh, it's just corrupt down to the fucking bottom, down to the basement. Nothing but corruption. Whatever happened to that? But boy, did we get taken in. I had a chat room. This is back when I was still on Sirius XM. And I had a chat room at my website. No, it wasn't mine. It was put together by my listeners. And boy, they were fiercely loyal. Not cultists, but they were fiercely loyal to the Malloy political point of view. That's all, just the politics. And we used to damn and fart and scream and yell and bitch and complain about Bush. Oh, and it went on and fucking on and fucking on. It was all legit. And then the Bush. And then we got into the Obama years. And the object of that chat room was to defend Obama, among other things. And then little by little, some of the people in the chat room started to question the defense of Obama. Like, wait a minute. Because Obama was not a liberal. He never claimed to be. He made it very clear he wasn't. And then along came the 2016 election and the run-up to it in 2014, 2015, and 2016. And I can remember being absolutely fucking astounded at how quickly the people in that chat room turned on me because I said, look, after we'd gone through the primaries and Bernie Sanders was fucked. I understand that by the Democratic Party establishment. No question he was fucked. But politics ain't beanbag, right? Who said that? So, my theory has always been vote your heart in the primaries, vote your fucking brain in the general. So I started, and I had just ripped Hillary Clinton into a million little pieces over a 2-year period. And then when she won the nomination, I said, okay, stop, whoa, back up, hold on, everybody. We're going to have to vote for Hillary Clinton Because if we don't, if we go this third party Jill Stein horse shit, the Ralph Nader horse shit, if we do it again, we're setting ourselves up for the first American dictator and more fucking crime and criminal activity than this country will probably survive. And my listeners in that chat room went fucking berserk. I was a traitor. I was a turncoat. I was insane. I was a son of a bitch and a motherfucker and an asshole. And goddamn you, Malloy. You son of a bitch. What happened? And so in that little universe, just that little universe, which is minuscule, I understand that. But in that little universe, Hillary Clinton lost a bunch of votes in that little universe. Now multiply that over and over and over again because of the propaganda and the lies and the deception that the Russian troll farms were feeding into social media in this country. We had no fucking idea how bad it was, did we? And the people in that chat room were average intelligence and above. Some of them were pretty goddamn smart. But the smarter they were, the more they went for the bullshit. I will never forget that. I mean, that was a shock to me. Not a feeling of a personal insult that people with whom I had had a great relationship for a couple of years all of a sudden turned on me like I was fucking Benedict Arnold. It wasn't that. I've learned in talk radio that people who over a period of time may appear to be, you get closer to them and you develop a kind of a weird intimacy over the radio airwaves, and then something will turn up. Something will happen that they don't like that you did, and all of a sudden they will come at you, figuratively speaking, with a fucking hatchet. just want to chop you into pieces. So it wasn't the shock of losing the listeners. It was the shock of seeing people so easily flipped into a state of, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. Fuck it. I don't care if Donald Trump is elected. Okay, so here we are. So, phase one in that process, flatly denying that the Russians had anything to do with it, with fucking up our election. And I'm sure some of those people I just made reference to still believe there was no Russian nothing. What the fuck are you talking about, Malloy? Trump denied the hacking. Remember in 2016, he flatly denied it was going on, or he blamed the Chinese, or remember when he said, quote, somebody's sitting on their bed that weighs 400 pounds. Anything other than Russia. And I can remember people saying, well, why should we be pissed off at Russia? We had a 50-year-long Cold War. Let's be friends. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, that would be great if the Russians wanted to be friends with us. There are very few people left who want to be friends with us. But if the Russians have an enemy that they want to bury, this goes all the way back to Khrushchev, we will bury you. Putin wants to see the United States collapse because, we're back to the revenge thing, because of what happened in 1989, when the wall came down, when Gorbachev dissolved the Soviet Union, and the American capitalist predators rushed in, life expectancy in Russia fell by 15 years almost overnight. All sorts of bad shit happened. And Putin was working for the KGB then, and he saw all this, and he had to deal with it, and he knew what was going on. Putin hates the United States. Putin hates Trump. But Trump is the classic useful idiot that the Russians will use until they're finished with him, like a used Kleenex, and then they'll throw him in the fucking trash. So all that talk about, well, Malloy, what's wrong with being friends with the Russians? Not a fucking thing, if it were mutual. And don't kid yourself. Americans don't like the Russians either. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.